Have you ever wondered why it is so easy to say, "I take refuge," yet so difficult to live as though those words are real? Have you ever asked yourself whether your faith is simply on your lips, or if it truly guides the choices you make when life tests you? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to dive into the teaching of refuge, not as a ritual, not as a formal declaration, but as a living commitment that shapes the very ground of your life. Inspired by the words of Master Yin Kuan, we'll explore why refuge often stays at the surface, why real practice is so rare, and how you can begin to embody the depth of refuge in your daily actions. The essence of today's journey is this: refuge is not about words, it's about transformation. And I promise you that by the end of this video, you will see that taking refuge is not a religious formality, but a profound practice of aligning your heart with wisdom, compassion, and clarity. Why words are easy, but practice is hard. Let's be honest, saying "I take refuge" is simple. Takes only seconds. You repeat the formula, bow your head, perhaps even feel a moment of inspiration. But then what? If you leave the hall, return to your habits, cling to the same fears, chase the same desires, what has changed? This is why Master Yin Kuan warned that refuge often remains at the level of the mat. It becomes a cultural identity, a badge, or comfort, but not a transformation. And isn't this true for so many areas of life? We say we want peace, but we feed anxiety. We say we want wisdom, but we cling to ignorance. We say we want compassion, but we indulge resentment. Words are seeds, but without action, they never sprout. Refuge must be planted in the soil of daily living, watered by practice, and grown through struggle. A real meaning of refuge. What does it mean to take refuge? On the surface, it means turning to the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha for guidance. But at its heart, it means something deeper. It means shifting your trust from the restless ego to the wisdom of awakening. When you say, "I take refuge in the Buddha," you're saying, "I choose to awaken." When you say, "I take refuge in the Dharma," you're saying, "I choose truth over illusion." When you say, "I take refuge in the Sangha," you're saying, "I choose community over isolation, humility over arrogance." But here is the challenge. Life constantly tempts us to take refuge elsewhere. We take refuge in money, in status, in comfort, in distractions. We let these become our silent altars, and then we wonder why our hearts remain restless. Isn't it sobering to realize that every choice reveals where you truly take refuge? Stories of shallow and deep refuge. Consider Peter, who proudly declared himself a Buddhist, attended ceremonies, and displayed statues in his home. Yet in times of crisis, he turned to anger, blame, and despair. His refuge was in appearances, not in practice. Contrast this with Lian, a woman who quietly repeated the name of Amitabha every day. When your husband fell ill, she faced fear and sorrow, but she steadied herself with prayer and patience. Her children noticed how her calm held the family together. She had taken refuge not just in words, but in living trust. It's striking that true refuge is not loud, but steady, and not displayed, but embodied. Our real refuge demands discipline. True refuge is difficult because it demands change. It requires breaking habits of clinging, confronting our own illusions, and practicing even when no one is watching. Think about it now. How easy is it to say, "I trust the Dharma"? But how hard is it to remember impermanence when you lose someone you love? How easy is it to say, "I trust the Sangha," but how hard is it to accept correction from a teacher or a peer? How easy is it to say, "I trust the Buddha," but how hard is it to let go of pride and admit when you're wrong? This is why refuge is not a one-time vow but a lifetime journey. Every day, in every choice, you ask yourself, am I taking refuge in ego or in awakening? Practical ways to deepen refuge. So how do we move from words to practice? First, self-honesty. Ask yourself, what do I truly take refuge in right now? Is it approval, security, or distraction? Or is it wisdom, compassion, and truth? Second, small disciplines. Begin with simple acts. Reciting a verse in the morning. Practicing mindfulness in your meals. Pausing before reacting in anger. These are small but steady ways of choosing refuge. Third, community. True refuge is not life alone. Surround yourself with those who remind you of your highest self, not your lowest habits. This is the real Sangha. Fourth, resilience. Refuge is tested in storms, odd and calm. When challenges come, see them as opportunities to prove your refuge. Say to yourself, and now is the time to practice. Refuge is transformation. Over time, living refuge changes you. Where anxiety lightens because you no longer take refuge in control, you take refuge in trust. Your anger softens because you no longer take refuge in pride, you take refuge in compassion. Where fear fades because you no longer take refuge in illusion, you take refuge in truth. Isn't that the transformation we long for? Not a change of label, but a change of heart. Reflection before we end. So let me ask you, where do you truly take refuge when life shakes you? Is it in possessions, in status, in distraction? Or is it in awakening, in truth, in community? Esther Dean Goy's reminder is piercing. Words are easy, practice is rare. But if you are willing to make refuge real, not just spoken but lived, your entire life can shift from instability to clarity, from fear to trust, from ego to awakening. Invite you now to reflect on one way you can live your refuge more deeply today. Share your thoughts in the comments below, because your practice may inspire someone else. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and support this channel, so we can continue to walk together on the path of living wisdom, not just speaking it. Thank you for watching this video.
Before you leave, here's something special. In Buddhism, we believe that every encounter carries a deeper meaning. Would you like to discover your true soul connection, the one written into your destiny? Take the Soulmate Test today and unveil the hidden truths of your journey. Click the link below and begin your path now.
http://soulmate. You wisdom more, come, white.